When I gave my icebreaker, I told you all that I am certified in the MBTI, or Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. And so what I want to talk about today, and actually over the next two speeches, is why sometimes there seems to be that one person that just irks you. Or why on those teams, when you're trying to achieve the same goal, there seems to be those two people that for whatever reason just don't seem to mess with each other. And it comes down to personality. And I'm hoping that the information that I'm sharing with you today doesn't end up being too nebulous. Now, when it comes to personality, the father of the MBTI is a guy by the name of Carl Jung. He was a psychological scientist in the early 20th century, and he truly did understand psychology. I would say that he was one of the most brilliant men ever to live, not just because of his contributions to psychological type, but because he understood life. And you know that he understood life by the fact that he made statements like this. Life really does begin at 40. Up until then, you are just doing research. And all of the people over 40 understand. Now, you might ask, if Carl Jung is the father of personality type, why isn't it called the Jung personality type indicator? Why is it called the Myers-Briggs? And that's because he didn't actually invent it. It was invented by Catherine Briggs and Isabella Briggs Myers. They are a mother and daughter. They studied Jung and put together what we call the MBTI today. MBTI has 16 personality types. They're 4-letter types. Now the question is, what do those letters mean? And that's what we're going to talk about today. You can break each of these types down. So what's the difference between an ISTJ and an ENFP? What's the difference between an ISFJ and an ESFJ? And that's what we're going to look at today. So these groups, there are 4 different groups, and they're called dichotomies. And so the first group is the extrovert and the introvert. This is how we as human beings gain our energy. Those of you who are extroverts, you get in and you want to be social, you want to be around people because you gain your energy from being around people. That introverted individual gains their energy from solitude, from being alone, from time of peace. Now here's the important thing to understand. The introvert is not necessarily shy. The introvert is not necessarily antisocial. They might love socializing just as much as the extrovert. The difference is that they have to have that time to get away in order to recharge, while the extrovert is in their element. They're like, yes, more people. As a pastor, you can see it all the time, because what happens is the extroverted pastor preaches the word. And then they want to go do visits and hospital visits and see people. The introverted pastor preaches the word and then wants to go home and take a nap. Next, we have the sensor versus the intuitive, and this is how you absorb information. How do you see the world? And here would be the best example. If I were asking a sensor, what do you see? They are going to tell me, I see a styrofoam cup, and if you recognize the symbol, they'll say, it's a styrofoam cup from Chick-fil-A. Now, if I ask an intuitive, what do you see? They might say, a landfill. Now, sensors are looking and saying, no, it's a styrofoam cup. And the intuitive will say, yes, but it's eventually going to end up in a landfill. It's how we are absorbing our information. The sensor is depending on the senses. What do I see? What do I hear? What can I touch? The intuitive, on the other hand, is more inside their head. I see possibilities. What is the possibility of where that cup could end up? Next, how do we make our decisions? And you have thinkers and feelers. So what the thinker is going to do is look at the information. What are the facts? Now, a thinker has feelings, but they aren't going to allow those feelings to determine how they make decisions. They're going to just look at the facts. What's rational? What makes sense to them? Whereas the feeler, on the other hand, they don't ignore facts, but they're going to say, but what do my values, my personal values, what do they say to me? And they're going to make that decision based on their personal values and what they believe. And finally, you have the judge and the perceiver. And this is how we approach the world. The judge, they like things in order, they like things structured, and they like completion. This was the person, if you went to college and the term paper was due, they had it done 3 to 4 days ahead of time. The perceiver, on the other hand, they want to keep the world open. They want lots of choices. They want to be able to make decisions. They are the one that is sitting down at the computer 5 minutes before the paper is due, and they hit send with 30 seconds left. And they tend to be very spontaneous as well. Me, I fall into the introverted, sensing, thinking judge category. I gain my energy through solitude, which can be very difficult when you have 3 children. This is a styrofoam cup. That's what I see. I make my decisions based on the rationale and the logic, and I really do like order and structure. To give you an example, of the judge and the perceiver, the perceiving pastor is writing their sermon on Saturday night before Sunday. Me, right now, I am sitting down and doing my preaching schedule for 2020. Order, structure, completion. My wife is an ESFP. So you can see where can be some challenges there. But here's what you'll find out. My wife's weaknesses are my strengths. My weaknesses are her strengths. Does it cause stress from time to time? Yes. Do we have different worldviews on parenting from time to time? Yes. Does it frustrate me that I take time to plan a vacation and she wants to destroy the plans once we get there? Yes. But the key to understand is that that person that might be irritating you, it might just be a difference in personality, and you actually might be able to help each other if you take the time. So that is the MBTI basics.